What's going on YouTube? My name is Johnny. I want to show you all a commonly overlooked feature to building robust Flask applications, and that's unit testing. Now a lot of you will probably say my app works perfectly, and that may be the case, but creating an automated test suite is incredibly important for several reasons. There's the famous quote, untested code is broken code. Now that might be a little extreme, but testing code does locate bugs in existing code. It allows you and other developers to safely add to existing code, and ultimately it saves you a lot of time in the long run. Now here's a very basic to-do list app we're going to write tests for. The code is on GitHub, so find that link in the description if you want to check it out. We can add a to-do to the right here. I need to walk the dog, and then a description, bring treats. So if we add that, you can see on the left we get to-do successfully added, that message there, and walk the dog is a to-do on the left. Let's go ahead and add another one. YouTube video Flask testing demo. If we add that, you can see both on the left. We could delete those once they're done. You can see the message to do successfully deleted. Alright, so let's jump right into this. We're going to use an extension called Flask Testing. I'll post this link in the description as well. So we have a file here called test.py. I'll bring up the terminal on the right as well. So we'll do from Flask Testing import test case from app import app and db, and we're getting those from our app itself. You can see we have the app and the db objects there. Then we'll also need unit test. So if we wanted to run this right now, unit test.main, we can run that with Python test.py. You can see we have 0 tests, so let's actually write some tests. We'll write the class from which the tests will run. We'll call it Flask test case. We'll inherit test case. Then we'll create the app. We'll enable testing mode. Then we'll create a new database that simply lives in memory and gets dumped when the script ends. We're doing this because you never want to test on your production database. We'll do that. We'll return the app. And there's 2 other methods, setup and tear down. Now setup runs before each individual test case. Tear down runs after each individual test case. So for setup we'll do db.createAll. We'll create all the tables in the database. Then we'll add a record to the table. Right, and we're using to do, so we'll bring that in too. You can see that in our app, it's listed right here. We need a title and a description. The ID will be automatically added as it's the primary key. So we'll add a second record. And then we will commit those changes to the database. Alright, and then after each test, we will remove everything from the session and then drop all tables from the database. Alright, now we can actually write our first test. We'll give it a doc string to describe the test. Then we will grab a response from our request. This is a GET request. Then we'll make sure we're getting a 200 or OK status code back. So let's run that. Alright, looks good. We can actually shorten this by saying assert 200. A little less to write. A couple more things I want to verify here. Alright, so assert template used, we want to make sure we're using the index.html template. Assert in, we want to make sure walk the dog appears on our index page. Notice it's a byte string and not an actual string. Then last, we want to make sure that the context variable to-dos we're passing to our template has a length of 2, which should be the case because we have 2 records in our database. We verify that in our app here. You can see app.route, it's a GET request. We're using index.html, and we're passing to-dos to our template. So let's go ahead and run that. Alright, looks good. So I have a few more tests I want to add here. I'll paste this in. So we're going to test the add to-do route. So this is a post request. We're passing some data along with our requests. Because this is a post request, we want to follow redirects to make sure we get a 200 status code. Otherwise, I believe it's a 302 for redirects. Then we want to make sure we're getting the message flash to do successfully added. It has a category of success. And then we want to make sure our new to-do appears in our page and then inside of our database as well. Again, we can go back to our app and verify that it's a post request, passing some data along with the request, and then we're getting the flash with a success category. So that's the add route. A couple more I want to post in here. So this is the delete route. So again, it's a post request. We're passing the ID of the to-do item we want to delete. Again, we're going to follow redirects, asserting a 200 response, the flash, and then we're making sure we only have one item in our database instead of the original 2. So then last test I want to throw in there is if we have no to-dos in our database. So this is testing no to-dos. We delete all of the data from the database right off the bat, and we're making sure you have no to-dos appears on the page as we originally have, and then 0 to-dos inside of the database. So let's go ahead and run these. Alright, looks good. So just a test, just to see what it looks like if something was incorrect. So on the test no to-dos, let's say we by mistake put one item in the database. Ran that, there you go. Instead of all the dots, you get an F right here. You can see exactly which failed, which test failed, what failed inside of that test, and what the error is. So go ahead and fix that. One more quick note, you must have test at the beginning of all of your test methods. So let's go ahead and take these away for 2 of them. If you don't have test, the test will not run. So there you can see we only have 2 tests run. You have to have test before each of those methods there. Now, how do we know that these tests cover most if not all of our code? We can find out using nose2. I'll post the link in the description. So as we've done with python test.py, we can do exactly the same thing with nose2. So we just have to run nose2. And there we go, all 4 of our tests have been run. We can also do test coverage as well. So nose2 -- with coverage. There we go, we're only missing 2 lines in our app.py file. Anything above 90-95% normally very good. So we can actually see exactly which 2 lines we're missing with coverage report. We want the HTML version. So it actually creates a folder in our root directory called html-cov, and we can actually grab app.py, open that with our browser Chrome, and here we go. We have 94%, 2 missing lines. As we can see, it's actually not a big deal at all because these 2 lines are only used in development. That's not going to be used, and this isn't going to be used during testing or production. So looking very, very good. That's about it. Just wanted to give you all an introduction to unit testing a web application and why it's so important. So now go ahead and write a test suite for your app. Post questions below. Talk to you next time.